Good afternoon and welcome to TalkSports. It is our weekend program. Well, we are back. We are back once again for our program. And as we continue observing and celebrating Grenada's 50th anniversary of independence, what a treat we have today with you. Hopefully, those two outstanding Grenadians will provide us with just a little extra, as we continue to observe and celebrate this historic milestone. As indicated, our special guest on our program this weekend, we have team managers for West Indies cricket teams currently on tour. We have Mr. Rawl Lewis, who is the team manager for the West Indies senior men's cricket team. And we also have Mr. Dwain Gill, who is the team manager for the West Indies under 19 cricket team participating in the ICC under 19 World Cup. So we'll hear more about that. But included in that, we also have our co-host in Toronto, Mr. Rudian Sylvan. So we have quite a bit to talk about today, and we see that quite a number of people are already logging in to listen because obviously they want to hear what these gentlemen will have to say. And it's probably the first time we have both of them on our program together, I should say. They are no stranger to the program. Good afternoon to you, Edwin, Sam in New Jersey, and certainly I know you are locked in because you want to hear what these gentlemen have to say. Let me go ahead and introduce our gentlemen. We have Rawl Lewis, who is in Sydney, Australia. Rawl, my apologies. I know it's very early in the morning. It's just after 5 in the morning. So my apologies. But you confess you wake up very early. So thank you for joining us. And also Dwain Gill, who is in Kimberley in South Africa. So we're all around the globe today. Good day, gentlemen. I say good day because morning, after, evening in your corner of the world. Just do your introduction. Roll.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mike. Good afternoon to all the listeners, Dwayne and your co-host. Yeah, I have to start by saying, I am not very happy that I don't have my Grenadian flag with me to celebrate the independence. I feel, I'm so far away and I'm seeing so much happening in our country. So, happy independence and, great work by everyone at home. It's
Right.
actually 4 a.m. here, Michael. I did
4 a.m. Yeah.
misinterpret the time, but it's all good.
Wow. All right.
Yeah,
Thanks
I'm
very much.
ready. Yeah, and
All
good
right.
to be here once again.
I appreciate. Dwayne.
Yeah, good day to you, Michael Raw Rudian. It's always a pleasure to be on the program, and good day to all of the viewers as well. I may be a little bit lucky because our boys were a little unlucky yesterday being knocked out, but it might actually get me home in time. Might get me home just on the 6th of February. But it's nice to see and hear about all of the activities going on, all of these celebrations. So it's really good, a good feeling even from here as well. So good day to everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much. And obviously, Rudy and I know there's still independence vibes in Toronto as well. New York last weekend, we had the gala, but in Toronto, there's certainly something going on.
Oh, most definitely. A pleasant good evening to you, gentlemen, and to the listeners. A happy independent to everyone on and those who are listening. It's truly a milestone, like, as we said, especially having you gentlemen on, to talk sports with us this weekend. We do have a lot of questions. The guests and the listeners do have some questions as well to ask, and I know you guys will be forthcoming with us and give your best answers and the things that you can speak about. I know everything you can speak about, but the things that you can speak about, you will just share it with the people. I just want to thank you for that. And yes, there is
All
a
right.
lot of activities happening out here, Michael. I know our gala is next weekend. It'll be after the independence, so it definitely will
Okay,
be
then.
something special
Yeah.
to look forward to.
All right, then. So thank you very much. And thank you, one and all, as we um, move on. Roll. certainly I want to start off with you because I know you're in the midst of the series. Well, the one-day series, yeah, started. And
Oh, yes, we
Dwayne, I
played one
know
match
you're
thus
getting
far.
ready to head
Yeah.
home. Yeah, and you played one match just fine, Melbourne. So how things are going, Dwayne? I mean, sorry, Rawl. I know you're moved from the test to the limited overs, so obviously a transition. Just give us a feel of how things are going with the guys.
Yeah, everything is good, man. We are still on a high after the test victory because I mean, coming to Australia and winning in Australia is not something. I mean, when we came here to win, and the head coach, Andre Coley stressed, our first meeting, and everyone, that was our plan to win one test match. But a lot of teams, we never really come to Australia and figure out how to win. So although you have that goal, it was going to be difficult, but we did. So the feeling within the camp is very good, and although it's a different format of the game, but West Indies cricket is still buzzing whenever we travel. It's a different reaction from everyone here. So it's still a positive vibe within the West Indies camp here, and everyone is feeling good. Although we lost the first ODI, but there is still a lot of confidence from that test win within the group.
Mm-hmm. And specifically, I know there has been a lot of charade over Shamar Joseph, and certainly Dwayne will speak a little more because Shamar actually played in Grenada, so Dwayne would have known a little about Shamar as a youngster, more or less, and why it's so important to give these young cricketers that sort of early opportunity. But what sort of vibes coming off from Shamar's, sensational performance in the final test?
But I'll tell you what, he is a special young man, to be honest. He's raw. He's new to this environment. So, he came in and just did what, played the game how he know to play the game without anything hanging on his shoulders. So, and his character as well, he's a really strong individual. He believes he can score 100 every time he bats. He said, I love to bat number 11 because, when you bat number 11, people think that you cannot bat, but I will show them. That's the type of character that he is. So, he left a good impression on the West Indies cricket team and on, everyone who saw him. I mean, every time we travel and we walk through the airport, people still come searching for him. There was a lady yesterday, she, from Qantas flight attendant, she came searching for Shamar Joseph. The chef at the MCG yesterday said to me, this is one of the greatest comeback in any sports that I've seen. I mean, these things are powerful. So Shamar himself, I don't think he understands, what he did for West Indies cricket and, the global game and even for Test cricket on a whole. I think that's why, even opposition teams are happy for a performance like this. Even Australia captain praised him because Test cricket, some people feel that Test cricket is dying and it's slow, but a performance like that can ignite a lot in the game, and it did, to be honest.
And Dwayne, over in South Africa for the under-19 guys, weather had its fair share, we will say, and sort of unfortunate for the guys. But I've been reading a lot of comments from the folks under the CWI posts, and it appears that, especially for those who have been following the youngsters, that they're very happy with the performances of the under-19 players.
Yeah, well, when considering that, the team lost the first match against South Africa, the host, I think we did very well coming back in, beating England. We were in a very tough group, and with England and South Africa, and having gotten out of that group, we went on to beat Sri Lanka. And you must remember in late 2023, our team went to Sri Lanka and we were beaten by Sri Lanka. So coming back to beat Sri Lanka was an achievement in itself. We had to win the final, our last Super 6 group stage game against Australia yesterday. And we restricted them for 228. And we were confident. The boys were confident that they would have gotten the runs, and we needed to get it in a certain number of overs to improve our run rate. We were depending on also Sri Lanka beating South Africa. That didn't happen, but we never got the opportunity, and the boys obviously were disappointed with that. They felt that they had what it took to get on to the semi-final. Of course, the format this time around is a lot different to what we had previously. And, a lot of people have their views about the format. Perhaps it needs to be looked at because it doesn't really give teams a fair chance of qualifying. When you think that we've only lost one match in the tournament, the very first match, and we couldn't qualify for the semi-final, something is wrong there. So it's probably something that the ICC has to look at. But all in all, I think considering what this group went through, I am only here because the appointed manager, Gibbs Williams, was killed in Jamaica in October last year. And that was a very big blow for the boys. In fact, all our team meetings, his name is mentioned. His shirt, we hang his shirt in the dressing room, and the guys pray and mention him all the time. So it was a big blow for the boys, and they played for him. And for me, it was difficult coming in as a replacement because I no longer manage on the 19 team. But I think they had asked me because they needed someone with experience. It was very difficult for me. There was a lot of apprehension. So considering all of that, young coaches, Rohan, Nurse, a very young coach, and the coaches that are on board, none of them have played Test cricket. But what they brought was that understanding of the younger generation of cricketers, younger generation of people. And they were able to form a very close-knit team since February last year, where we started the camps and we had continuous camps and tournaments and whatnot. So I would say that, we didn't embarrass ourselves. We played well, and given a little bit more luck, perhaps we could have been in the semi-final.
Mm-hmm. And and staying on with the Shamar sensation, I remember it was only last year Shamar was in Grenada, I think Windward Islands, the Volcanoes versus the Guyana Harpies, and he had 5-4, 41 or something like that. So the name was very familiar to you, Dwain.
Yeah, right at the stadium, he took a 5-wicket haul against the Windward Volcanoes. In fact, the Guyana Harp Eagles ended up drawing the match. I think the Windwards had to get 1 wicket. So he impressed everyone there, and I think that is why perhaps one of the reasons he was selected to go on the A-team tour in December to South Africa. And he did very well in South Africa as well. So here's a guy that really believes in himself. I'm sure Rawl was surprised when he came because he's a guy that would, he talks a good game as well. And it's good to see that we have players coming through. People are saying he came out of the blue, but he's been part of the Ghana team. He's been into the A-team, and what he showed there was just sheer determination, having gone through the injury that he sustained, coming back out to win the match for the West Indies. And not only Shamar, because you have to recognize the contributions of the other players on the team. When we batted, we had Hodge and De Silva and Mackenzie and those guys scoring some runs. And no one gave the West Indies a chance. But, as I've been telling the journalists here in South Africa, never write off the West Indies. Never write off the West Indies. I'm sure Rawl will be able to tell us more about the Rodney Hogg comment. I'm sure that would have inspired the guy. So it's very good to see, Michael. I mean, wherever we go, people see us in South Africa and people talk about the West Indies senior team now. So we believe that we're on the right path. I'm sure that we will see more players emerging apart from a Shamar Joseph. We do have a lot of programs in place, and we are now beginning to see the fruits of those programs.
Mm-hmm. Certainly, you're hearing it from a director. So I know it has a lot of footing. But Rawl and Dwain mentioned about not just Shamar. So certainly there has to be a synergy. And as a manager and a team manager and one who has been around for almost 10 years with the team coming on, there is a lot of, as we say, behind the scenes work that has to be done, because as Dwain indicated, West Indies went into that series there, and there are a lot of folks that didn't give West Indies a chance. Okay, and we will follow it on social media as well. But certainly, I think West Indies put itself back that, listen, despite the opposition, they can show up themselves when the time comes.
Well, Mike, I tell you what, if we have to talk about, and Dwain will know that, the work that goes on behind the scenes, we probably would need today and the rest of tomorrow. But yeah, surely. I mean, I know, West Indies cricket team, a lot is expected of us based on history and, what was done in the past. We were undefeated for 15 years. I think a lot of that is still resonate in the supporters' minds and so on. But we just have to be conscious that we are on a path of development. We've had some excellent players who the world have seen it fit to engage, to be part of their respective teams in different franchises over the world. But what we see coming through now, I mean, you look at the under-19 team and you see the talent that's there. I have a very good feeling that, give us a couple of years and, imagine that West Indies test team get to play regularly together and then comes back into Australia in 4 years' time to play against Australia. I think they probably would have a different feeling to when we arrived there on the 28th of December, 2023. So, like Dwain said, the buzz about West Indies cricket now, it's positive. I mean, a lot has been said before, and I think most people were disappointed, especially the fans, because everybody like winning, and you see what winning does to Caribbean people. So we just want to encourage them now that we have a little taste of success. We have to pull on the positive. Let's keep the positive vibe going and everyone get involved and, help bring this cricket back to where it belongs so Caribbean people can enjoy themselves in the stadiums again when they come to watch cricket.
I know, Rudy, and before you come in there, I want to get in this one because I know it's the backbone of our conversation today, for both Rawl and Dwain. It has to do with your responsibility as a team manager, and certainly Dwain as the under-19, which will be a feeder to, the senior men's team to an extent. But, there must be similarities in terms of that. But Rawl, starting off with you, give us an idea what it takes, Rawl, to manage an elite team as the West Indies senior men's team, which is probably the only professional sporting team in the region, in the Caribbean, if we look at it in terms of that level. Starting with, the preparation back home to an actual tour. Let's look at the current tour in Australia. I mean, what it takes, certainly, they probably sleepless nights.
Well, Mike, when I stopped playing cricket in 2010, and I went into the organization in October 2010, I thought it was, it was nice, the employees of Cricket West Indies, when they come to watch the game of cricket and, to work, they look very nice in the outfit, nice polo shirts and, good trousers and, very sharp. And I would be on the field and I would say, wow, that looks a very comfortable, easy job. When I look at it and I joined and started, learning about the job, because obviously when you're on the field, you don't know what goes on behind the scene. But, just getting to rub shoulders with the employees of the organization and sitting in an office, looking what, the different departments do for a West Indies team to go on tour, and then what, the team manager has to do in the end, or maybe prior to the tour, and in the middle of the tour, at the end of the tour, Yeah, it's quite a lot. Let me just give you an example. For this team to come to Australia, well, obviously you have to get in touch with Cricket Australia, and you have to get an MOU signed. You got to agree on what they will provide for you, and vice versa when they come to the Caribbean. You wait on the selectors to provide the names to you. You then have to start preparing the kit for the guys, their name and numbers. You also want to find out, who has a valid US visa, who doesn't have visas that, need to fly to UK or Amsterdam. You also have to get a quote on the flights from the travel agency, which is based in Dubai. So you start with these things. We now pay allowances by an ECAB card, a debit card. So you now have to find out and check to ensure that everyone has a valid debit card. And the list goes on and on. So you do that preparation from the office, and then let's fast forward a bit to when you start traveling. And for example, you would land at Gatwick, and your flight departs from Heathrow in the night if you land at Gatwick 5 a.m. on Friday morning, and your flight departs at 9 p.m. on Friday night. You now have to transfer these guys, and sometimes you have like 150 bags that you need to get moved from airport to airport, get to spend a day at a hotel at Heathrow, then you start the flight, the journey. You get to the arrival, you arrive in the country. You then, well, that's certainly for me, you meet with the host association, the host board representative, to ensure, a layout of what we planned is going to be executed. They provide you with local support, and you start your program, you start your work. The most important part of this role for me is providing information to the group, because you have a squad of 25 people and you now have to keep them updated every single day on every single activity. So, based on what the coaches want. So, it's before the tour, during the tour, after the tour, you're always on call. And Dwain can tell you, some, cricketers, we played the game and we know what we think about. We think about playing, so sometimes you almost have to think for some people, because they are not going to be focusing on that, and I don't blame them. So it's a never ending role. It's one that I enjoy, because for me, like I say to one of them, when the tour is coming to an end and guys getting a little bit edgy that, they want to return home, and they will, sometimes meet you and ask you, when's my flight managed? When am I leaving? I said, for the last 6 years, you've been provided with your flights on time. You've got to the tour, from the tour. Just, continue winning for me, and I'll provide you with those details. So, it's a challenge. It's one that you have to be seriously data driven, because you can't miss anything. And, to get this team to a tour and from a tour to return them home, it's a lot of thinking, and sometimes sleepless night as well.
Mm-hmm. And I assume, Rawl, in some instances you have injuries, you have replacements, and in this case where you have the different formats, a lot of transitions will be taking place as well.
Well, of course, because if you have an injury and a player has to return home, well, first of all, you have to go. If he has to go to the hospital, you must be prepared with your insurance forms and your payment plans and so on. And also with that player that's coming in, have to prepare his kit and ensure, because initially you never had him on your list to prepare for. So you now have to prepare from the office, for all of those things. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but you have to be prepared all the time for anything. If I'm sitting here now and the physio calls me and, someone would have reported that they're sick, we have to get that guy to the hospital and, and ensure that, we get him checked and, report and so on. So it's an ongoing process, but it's one that I've created my own style, and I'm very comfortable in the way that, I do my work. Like the dynamics of dealing with 3 different formats, and also, 2 different staff, with 2 different head coaches who have different styles and so on. You have to be on top of it, because while the test series is going on, you have to prepare these white ball guys join the team. And some of our guys are sometimes in Bangladesh, in South Africa, in Dubai. So you have to, get in touch with the various franchises and agents to get them to and from the tournament, and while you send the test team home. So, it's a lot of time spent in front of that computer and cell phone. So, it's not an easy job, but it's one that I believe that I've mastered. And I could say that confidently that, my record is clean so far.
Wow. So indeed, a lot of behind the scenes taking place. And Dwain, and in your case now with under 19, a lot of the kids, I will say, probably traveling for the very first time. So it's quite a bit challenging for you, unlike Rawl, who may have some of the players who are on tour and have been traveling for a while and understands that some of the under 19 players have been traveling probably for the very first time and being in a camp setting, a hotel or whatever, for the very first time. So there are many challenges on your part as well, Dwain.
Well, before I talk about under 19, let me just go back to Rawl, because I think Rawl has the most challenging of jobs, because Rawl is the only full-time manager with our teams, and he has to do a lot of the work from inception. The other managers, for example, would come in, and some of the work is prepared by the members in the operations department. And they do a very, very good job. And then it's for people like myself to come in to really follow a particular format based on our policies. But the under 19s, yes, as you mentioned, Michael, there is a unique challenge in that because they're under 19, teenagers, some 16, 17, it is very difficult. It's like a 24-hour job. You have to monitor them. You have to make sure they are safe. Apart from all of the administrative work that you have to do. You find with the senior team, because I've managed the A teams as well, and I think the fundamental difference is that the A team or the senior teams, because the players are adults, there's less supervision, there's less monitoring. With the under 19s, you have to constantly monitor. You have to have good communication skills. You have to have a good rapport with them, and you have to manage the various personalities at the under 19 level. Similar with the senior team as well, which could also be difficult. But yes, in addition to what Rawl has said, in terms of all of the work, it is difficult. With the development teams, you don't have a larger staff as the senior team. So, for example, in my teams, we wouldn't have a media officer, but yet the ICC and others, they deal with you as though you're supposed to have a media officer. So the manager has to step up and fit in there. Luckily for me, I've dabbled in a lot of areas in cricket, even in with cricket commentary. So I understand the dynamics. While I haven't played international cricket or even first-class cricket, I've done almost everything else in cricket. So I've able to get another experience. And sitting in the dressing room as a player as well, you understand what is required. And the team manager is the Mr. has to do it all. Mr. has to do it all. It's quite a lot, but I think we enjoy it. I enjoy it. I wake up every morning trying to see how you can make West Indies cricket better. But yes, Michael, it is challenging, whatever level that you're managing teams at.
Mm-hmm. Wow, certainly. Rudian?
Yeah, most definitely. That's a lot, gentlemen. You guys have certainly a big task. Mr. Lewis, so we hear the backside of what West Indies management does, which is a lot. So let's kind of move to the front side. We're dealing with the fans, and a lot of the fans today, they expect to see West Indies like in the 90s. Dealing with those guys and them, and so we lose a lot of fans. West Indies have lost a lot of fans. Is the West Indies team now and management have a pathway of bringing the fans back based on the teams, the different style of cricket now, the different era that we're in? Are you in a pathway that, yes, the fans can come back and start watching cricket again like they used to in the 90s and the 80s?
Of course, I think, I mean, if I was a fan, well, I am a fan of cricket, but if I did not play cricket and only watch cricket, I would really want us to just win cricket matches. And I think that's all the fans really want. But we directly involved, we ensure to make that happen. We want to encourage people. It's not only about winning because, you have to understand how the world works, and some teams have developed. I mean, we had it for 15 years, and we are prepared. Australia, India, and these guys, they have continued to win cricket recently. But if only the team and the West Indies Cricket Board, Cricket West Indies, and its members that are close to cricket are the only ones that are focused on getting the cricket forward, it wouldn't help. We need the fans. We need the fans, and the performance of Shamar Joseph and the West Indies Test team, and people like Kevin Sinclair. You see Kavem Hodge. You see young players coming through. Azari Joseph. That's a sign right there that the fans can really look and see that the future is bright in West Indies cricket. You look. I mean, I recognize the name Pascal on your team, Dwain. There's a left arm seamer from St. Martin, I think. So there are people there that you can see glimpses that West Indies cricket can be back where it belongs at the top of world cricket. But it cannot only be Cricket West Indies and the regional boards trying to get it back there. We want the fans to come on board, and I want to encourage them that, starting from this T20 World Cup, we all gonna sing that song. When we hear Rally Around the West Indies, it's supposed to, ignite something in us and try whatever we can to get West Indies cricket back where it belongs. But it's certainly a conversation that's, taking place within a group. And if you see the passion, I mean, that song played maybe more than 1,000 times after we won the Test series, Rally Around the West Indies. So that's what the song says. The words are very strong, and I want the public to really listen to it and come back on board with us and help us drive this game forward.
I'm not sure if West Indies lost fans in Arudian. I won't believe that some of the fans went quiet.
Well, I believe that, Michael. I believe because whenever we win, I mean, I remember in 2016, I saw some guys climbing the roof of a little bar in the countryside, So I think when we win, and the amount of phone calls that I got from all parts of the globe because of that victory, I think, it's coming back slowly. And, the people are just, they were disappointed, I would say. But I didn't think we lost them. You're correct.
Yeah, I think disappointed could be it.
Yeah.
And just modifying what you're saying, Rawl, too, in terms of the interest, because only today ICC put out a release saying over 1 million ticket applications received in the first 48 hours of the ICC's Men's T20 World Cup public ballot. So just the interest alone, and remember, it's been hosted in the West Indies, right? Well, West Indies hosting the ICC T20 World Cup. And there's so many interests already. 48 hours and over 1 million, ticket applications. And there's another, I think it reopens on the 7th. That's on Wednesday. So there's another opportunity. So certainly there will be more disappointed fans, because I know some fans won't be able to get tickets, They're going pretty hot. And certainly here in North America, I know the interest are already a lot of interest. Just before you go, there was a comment that came in there. Congratulations, Rawl and the Windies, on an impressive win against a top-ranked Australian team. Hope I'm correct to say that the Windies are on the right track to where we are supposed to be. Keep encouraging your troops, Rawl. The young players are truly making an impact on the grandest stage. We just want to see consistency with our top-order batsmen and all players in general. Rally around our men in maroon. That's from Kellon. It's saying that And I saw Toro earlier says West Indies' problem has never been a lack of talent. It's a lack of maturity and discipline to compete at the international senior level. Toro is back in. Yeah, so Rudy and your boy Toro is saying after the test when I started wearing the maroon again, I'm back on West Indies bandwagon. So we didn't lose Toro. Toro is just disappointed. He was just disappointed. But certainly it qualifies what we have been saying all along. But back on it, Rawl and Dwain, in terms of going forward, because certainly what has happened in that test series there, and that's victory. And by the way, it's not just a victory. Remember, it's the first time West Indies defeating Australia in 27 years in Australia. Okay, is it something like that in terms of tests?
Yeah.
So it has certainly turned the tables, and a lot of opponents now, whether it's India, whether it's New Zealand, some of what we call the big boys now will certainly be taking and watching the West Indies with the sort of talent, right? Because remember, the team that went to Australia, for many, they thought it was just a walkover. I mean, there were folks who were just saying, oh, guys, in 2 days, in 3 days, these sort of things. Those were the sort of comments. But you are seeing the competitiveness of a new West Indies team. Rawl, in the dressing room, what it's like with those young players and some of the experienced players, how they have been able to make that sort of transition.
No, well, from the initial meeting that we had, I mean, the head coach did a presentation with the team analysts, just breaking down what we need to do to win, where we're going to be in the Test Championship if we, win one Test match here. So the guys were educated from the beginning exactly what we wanted to do in Australia here. And trust me, when you put a group of young guys together, they have the belief that, they're going to do it. And you listen to some of the comments, the guys worked really, really hard in the nets. They communicated well. It was a total team effort. And, Craig Brathwaite and his leadership style, Craig is a guy, he's a very soft-spoken individual, but very strong in mind. He knows exactly what he wants. And, the guys are prepared to play for him. And, also, Andre Coley, don't forget the staff, these guys, they put a lot of hours into preparing. Avinash Sitaram is our team analyst from Trinidad. He's one of the best that I've come across. I had never met a guy that anything you put in front of him, he can execute it. And, you look at the presentation that is being made in our team meeting. And I after the meeting, I said to them, I said, guys, I actually came out here and I learned a few things. I wish I was playing cricket still, because, the kind of info and details that you guys, presented here, it's excellent. And I told them that many times. So in the dressing room, the plan is there. It's always clear what we are going to do, whether we're practicing. I mean, if you look at the board in the dressing room on practice day, everyone can just walk up to the board and know exactly what they're going to do. So everything just falls into place. And, that's the modern way of playing cricket. And these guys really, really put their plan in place. And, I wasn't surprised at all that, we had that success. Well, I was a little bit surprised that Sharma could, do what he did. But, that when we won that game, Andrew just said to me, we came to Australia to win one game. And I said, you said it in the beginning. So, it's a really, really good feeling. We had Kima Roach, leading the bowlers in discussions, and Craig leading the batting, and, we have, Ryan Griffith, all these guys. Every time you look, there is not like a player that's not doing anything on a practice day. So putting all of this together, they brought all the energy on the field, and the rest is history. So it was a really refreshing thing to see. And it made me feel, I had to just run out. I didn't know. The guys asked me, I've never seen you come out on the field like that. I ended up on the edge of the boundary. I wanted to just go and meet Shamar because I was just feeling this passion, looking at West Indies out there, and I know how, what people thought about us coming to Australia, and it's going to be another walkover. So I was so happy. And, I felt the pride, for 2 days after, I just could not put down my West Indies jacket. I wore that jacket every single day to breakfast, to dinner, anything, just to make sure that I keep the Maroon alive. And I'm also very happy to see that, the fans are using the Maroon again, and it's available. Our kit is available for purchase. And so I'm happy. Guys, please come on board with us. We are ready.
All right. So, Rudian, hopefully we try to get one for Toro. Certainly he needs one. But Dwain, the not so for the youngsters, because for some of them it probably would be their last under 19 World Cup. For some of the guys, some probably may be able to have another shot at it. But how it is, you get to speak to those guys in a situation like that, especially based on the circumstances, and no result against Australia and not being able to qualify. What sort of discussion you had with those guys?
Well, the coaching staff led the discussion. They're the ones who were with them. And, I think the message at the end was that, look, we've done all we could have done in terms of preparation. There are certain things you couldn't control, but they are going to leave here better cricketers and better people. Some of these guys, there are about three of them who would have another World Cup, but a lot of them would go on back to the franchises. Some of them would have another under 19 tournament, regional tournament, and they have the opportunity to break into the West Indies Academy, which many people don't talk about. But it has done quite a lot since the inception. When you look at someone like Teddy Bishop in Australia now, I mean, Teddy Bishop played the last under 19 World Cup in 2022, went into the academy and has developed to the extent that he's now in the West Indies white ball 50 over team. So those opportunities are there to the players. So I think they have dealt with disappointments before, but they are looking forward to the opportunities ahead.
Mm-hmm. Just let me get, before you come in, Rudian, just let me get some comments from the folks, and then you will make some. Clev is saying, and good afternoon, Clev. What is clear from the discussion is cricket is not only sport based on skills, but it's a sport that encompasses science, specificity of tasks from the dressing room to the desired pitch for success. Players must be aware of this. Pressure can only be deflated through perseverance. And there is, congratulations, Rawl and the West Indies team. This way, a very impressive win. Cheers to you and your team. Shamar the Slammer, like that pink medication doctors in Grenada use, give you all ailments, might just be the liquid needed to excite the region once again. that ailment he's talking about. And Mr. Dominic Jeremiah is saying, Sebastian, we have to continue to honor and support our cricket administrators in the region. Some of them make incredible sacrifices to support the systems that we currently have. At the same time, we have to try to attract competent and dedicated professionals within our region to contribute to their time and talents. Proud of Dwain's and Rawl for the contributions they continue to make. And certainly, Rawl and Dwain, before Toro saying a maroon shirt, and that's key for me. I know he's trying to tease me with my shirt today. And that's key. Yes. Yeah, but in terms of administrators, Dwain and Rawl, as Grenadians, proud, I must say, and it's something we have seen sort of a dirt in terms of sports administrators. But I'm looking at both of you gentlemen who at some point in time may be the beacon to pass on to younger sports administrators in Grenada and probably the Caribbean per se, the wider Caribbean, regarding Mr. Camillus Alexander, for example, who is doing pretty well in the US in terms of cricket. In fact, he was just appointed a zonal coach. Yes, Camillus is a zonal coach. Clayton Lambert is the national selector. With the US preparing themselves for the T20 World Cup. So there are a number of Grenadians, and I'm just zooming into that particular part simply because we are at the point, celebrating our 50th anniversary of independence. We're celebrating success. We're celebrating our sporting icons, I should say. But I want to use that opportunity, just as Mr. Dominic Jeremiah said there, to congratulate you guys and to encourage you. And certainly you'll be able to emulate a number of our sports administrators, because we have been very concerned over a period of time, I should say, that we have a void in terms of good sports administrators in Grenada. And certainly it comes at a time when, a lot of people are looking to the West Indies. And by the way, it's not the first time you two gentlemen have been on tour. At the same time, I should say, we recall 2016. I see you guys smiling. 2016, you both were celebrating. I'm certain these things certainly reverberate in your minds. Rawl and Dwain?
Well, first of all, Michael, Rawl was the one when I came in 2016 to manage the under 19 team. We won the World Cup, but Rawl was actually behind a lot of it. He won the senior with the senior team, but Rawl was a project officer at the time, and he was the one who guided me. And at the time, you had to be doing something like that for the first time, but then you still had to be concentrating on your local association and even at the windwards level. And it is always a challenge in trying to juggle. You have to look at every aspect of cricket and try to improve all aspects of the game. Amidst a lot of criticism, and sometimes you look at social media and we see the comments, and your family look at it, and you feel like giving up sometimes. But when the players start to perform, you feel that there's a sense of pride and accomplishment. So when people like Mr. Jeremiah, who whenever he sees you, he would always try to encourage you. This is my last year as the president of the Grenada Cricket Association, because we have to pass on, and we feel that we have a couple young administrators now who can really look at people like Rawl to really carry on. And I say carry on the fight because it's really tough. You have to do quite a lot with limited resources, limited facilities. And cricket is one of those sports that is probably the most expensive sport. So I would encourage all the administrators out there, don't give up. When we see people like Teddy Bishop and others getting into the West Indies team, that is where we get our satisfaction from. When we see people like Shama Joseph and those guys fighting for West Indies, there's no greater feeling. So we will take the criticism, and but we would like some people to get on board as well to try to assist, because it's easy to talk. But it's just most of the time it's voluntary. There are no salaries, nothing big, and and we continue to do it, and I think I enjoy doing it every day.
Rawl?
Yeah, it's something that I think about all the time. I'm from Union St. Andrews, and growing up in Union St. Andrews, you never ever thought that you will become the manager of the West Indies senior men's cricket team. So at some point I want to tell my story to people, and in the rural communities, I think about it all the time, and give them like a guide, because I think about if I was a youngster, playing cricket in Union, and so the West Indies team manager came to have a conversation with me about, how to become an administrator, what are some of the things you do? I don't think I'll have a choice but to listen. I'll be very excited. So this is what I believe I will do someday when I have the time, because there are more people like myself and Dwain out there that can, become seriously good administrators. It's not beneath them, because it wasn't in my plans when I was a youngster growing up. But how did I become an administrator? And I will be confident enough to say a successful administrator, where Cricket West Indies have the confidence in me to manage the senior men's team, in as you say, Michael, in the only professional sporting team in the Caribbean. So that's a serious role, and that is one that I would like to encourage people to start paying attention to. Become, if you're not going to make it as a cricketer to play for West Indies, there are many other things you can do. But I just feel that presenting the opportunity to people is what somebody like my role can do. So I have it in my plans. I have it in my mind that I have to open up to the general public for people who really want to learn that role. And trust me, someday I'll do it.
And I'm Rudy, and I'm certain that we spoke about that on programs before, that something like that will probably inspire more cricket being played, not just in the region, but probably the communities, the villages. And I'm certain, Dwain, you believe that we'll see more youngsters want to play the sport of cricket.
Yeah, definitely. If we look at the schools, it would always start from the schools, and we have to do a lot more in the schools. Sometimes as administrators, you can't even go into the schools. It starts there and then it goes into the villages, and you look at Rawl and what has happened in Union, for example. You look at a guy like Darren Ned, who's played there. So yes, we definitely we've been lagging behind in Grenada for a couple of years, various reasons, but I think the time has come where we need to put that emphasis in the schools. We know there are a lot of competing activities, competing sports, but realistically, cricket is still the sport that a youngster has a good opportunity to make it on the international stage, and even not play on the international stage, but you have an opportunity to make a decent living from playing cricket.
Yeah. Rudian?
Certainly, gentlemen. That would be an honor to see that happen for the youngsters, especially in Grenada. But not only in Grenada, you have the opportunity to go around the region. That's something will be something that every other island or country will which certainly accept. You talk about the under-19 team, and a lot of the players they are in their last year. Of course, they are going up in age. What is the transition for them to go up to the senior team? What is the plan, or what is the process for that to happen?
Right. So the guys that play on the 19, many of them would try to get in the territorial boat teams, the windwards and whatnot. However, not all make the transition one time. And what has happened recently at Cricket West Indies is the academy. So we have a lot of players transitioning into the academy. I know, and I'm not the person to speak of it, but maybe the director of cricket, Cricket West Indies, would speak of it. There are plans to have an under-23 league as well, so that those players who leave the under-19 and are having difficulty getting into their senior team, there is that more or less like a second team, a second 11 that will help prepare them for the higher level. So all of this is coming on stream, but as I said, we do have the academy there, and we intend to make the franchises, the territorial boards, a little bit stronger in terms of their program. Some of them have development contracts in place, so you have the 15 players, yes, but then you identify a number of youngsters to get a stipend and to train every day, Monday to Friday, that is, with the franchise teams.
And most definitely. Raul, quick question. Is there an age limit for the senior team?
No age limit. Just the required skills and determination and performance at the right level.
I certain Rawl probably feels at times he could still make a little spin, you know.
Me? No, Mike. I don't even go on the field because you see these hands. I need them. These guys these days are the type of bats, and so they hit this ball too hard. I stay off the pitch.
Rawl, you know, and while we talk about that, you know, I had a conversation with Camilla some time ago, and he was saying, well, you know, he said, I came at a time when it was sort of challenging because Rawl was the main spinner, right? And he always had to battle against you to be selected, you know. And you also had Marshall, right? There was Marshall from Dominica as well, you know. And Camillus was saying, you know, I probably came at the wrong time because it was always a tussle to get onto the team when you have, they're talking about Windwards in particular, when you had Marshall, you had Rawl, and then here was Camillus now as probably the third fiddle, you know, things like that. So, but when in terms of wrist bowlers, Rawl, you think we haven't seen that many, I would say, and sought. But is it a hope that we can get more spinners on the West Indies team? We've seen a dearth of fast bowlers these days, medium fast bowlers. But do you think we'll be able to get some more spinners on?
Well, I hope so. I mean, we have Walsh and Yannick Carrera, who've been playing recently. But we need to at least, see a spinner permanently in the West Indies team, because you do know that, the impact that a wrist spinner could have. But at the same time, we probably need to go far and wide and find some of the youngsters that can both spin and, start, helping them to improve their craft at an early age. Like Dwain said, I think we need to start, searching in the schools and, having programs there, whether it be specific drills. Some of these guys have the skills, but I'm sure they don't even know that they have the required skills that can, bring them up to the international level. So it's there. I'm sure it's there, but, we have to go searching for them. But like I said, I hope that, somebody like Hayden Walsh, who is on tour here with us, can really keep the spin bowling alive in the Caribbean, because we do need, on certain pitches, we do need our wrist spinners to help us win a few games.
Mm-hmm. And how do we, Rawl as team manager and West Indies operations as well, and Dwain as a cricket director, how do we ensure that we have this sort of talent identification? For example, track and field is one sport that, they do the talent identification. You'll always hear, for example, the Usain Bolt story. He started off as a cricketer, these sort of things. How do we ensure that in terms of talent identification and that we keep our youngsters in the sport?
Well, to be honest, I mean, like Dwain said earlier, we have a lot more that we can do. It's a lot of work, in the respective territories, but the programs that are there, I mean, there's a franchise program, there are under-19 programs, grassroots cricket, and so on. So this is where it all begins. But, maybe a little bit more in the schools to start identifying early. I know there are a few academies going around. Junior Murray has an academy. Ray Duncan has one in St. David's. The association have their respective coaches, the Ministry of Sports, and so on. But, we just need to be continuous and be consistent in what we do and ensure that we have a pathway for these guys. Because what I find can happen is that you can spot someone, that they're talented, but sometimes you don't have the resources to really provide everything for that individual. They themselves don't have the resources needed. So, some fall by the wayside. So I think this is where, the private and public sector can, get involved, and everyone. And when I say everyone coming on board to help bring back West Indies cricket, this is what I meant, starting with identifying talent, being patient about it, and, support financially if you have to, and, coaching, education, all these things put together is going to help. So I dream of the day, Dwain, I know you've been president for a long time, and I know how difficult it is. I think I have a clear understanding that you've been involved in cricket for a long time, so you love what you do. And, but we just need to have a lot of committed people in different areas to spot talent, develop talent, and, bring them all the way to West Indies cricket team, and we bring the glory days back.
And just to continue on what you just said, and we see how cricket is big in England, India, Australia. Is there ever a thought in mind when you guys sit down in your meeting to say, let us have a Caribbean or own Caribbean championship?
Well, I don't think it's up to us as a team. We would love to see that, to be honest. I mean, when you come to these parts of the world and you see what is, a lot of cricket is being played and so on. But you have to also remember, economics have a big part to play in the way the sport is run in the Caribbean. It's not, and first of all, we have many different islands. If you want to have a simple West Indies camp for 2 weeks, it probably will cost you $100,000 because you have to fly the players into one area. You have to put them up at the hotel. You have to, transport them, pay them, laundry, allowances, rehydration. So, for example, in this match here, the Australians drive themselves to the ground. You see this fleet of SUVs park up. Everybody drive themselves to the ground. When they finish their drive home or wherever. In the Caribbean, we have to fly people, everywhere when you want to do something. So it's very, very expensive in the Caribbean. I'm sure that every administrator would love, they would put their heart and soul into anything to develop West Indies cricket. But sometimes, the cost, the funds are not really there. And maybe Dwain can attest to that.
Dwain?
Yeah, I mean, simple things like facilities, and Rawl can tell you. You go to New Zealand or South Africa, and any of the countries, all the schools have cricket nets. It's not just about a playing field. In Grenada we have multi-purpose fields, and of course, you have to cater for the track and field people, the football people, but simply positioning or building nets and turf cricket nets in different parts of the field, like last suggest and so on, can help because if, for example, I wanted to train my son, where do I really go to do that? It is very, very difficult. So I think a lot of the countries, they have the resources, and they've put a lot into cricket because they've seen what cricket can do for the people that play the sport. And I think I don't think money is just going to fall out of the sky. We are at a disadvantage, but I'm sure with the help of governments, right, we can improve the playing facilities and just having those nets and so on available for young aspiring cricketers.
No, and definitely, as you say that, because there is a challenge, because I always talk about, let us identify. Me being from St. Patrick's, such as, to be exact, there is a lot of fields, but we always say, let us identify fields to play. Let's leave it just for cricket. But we're looking at some of these young athletes is getting to those fields. Is getting from, if you use like Plains, for example, somebody from Shantimel, they got to get to Plains. It could be a challenge too at the same time, even though it is good and it should be that way, but it become a challenge because transportation is not like it is out here in North America. It's harder for them to actually jump on a bus or to move that way. So it become a challenge. But like you said, government could put the resource into those fields and maintain those fields. I definitely think that can be a strong possibility to see more cricket, more football, more track and field, and all them other sports happening. It's just by maintaining the fields and make sure that it is properly for the athletes. Then, yes, I always challenge to have one field that's specific for that, but it's a challenge for them to get around.
It will be. Sometimes the way how I feel about it. Sometimes Teddy Bishop, for example, Dwain, what was Teddy Bishop doing before he came to Australia?
Well, and that's a good point. When I called him, he said that he was struggling, so we had to send him to St. Vincent because, as you know, the Windward's volcanoes is actually there. So we have the nets at the stadium, but a lot of the cricketers, of course, live outside of the St. George's area.
Yeah.
And we need what we have in the stadium in terms of nets. I'm not talking about the field or the stands. We need that in all of the parishes, and we need it in Karaku. We need that, and that would certainly go a long way in getting people to come and to knock and to play, because the nets is like the classroom, and we don't have it. So the guys will not just go on an open field because they could have 2-3 people, and it's very difficult to train that way. So if we can just get some proper net facilities in every single parish, I'm sure we will produce a lot more.
I mean, when I sat and I watched Teddy went out on the field as a substitute fielder. And, I was just thinking to myself, this guy is in the middle of the MCG, in Australia, right? I wonder how he's feeling. This is what he's prepared himself for all the time. Is he well prepared, to, like if Darren Sammy says, you're playing in the second ODI, are you prepared mentally, physically, well oiled to go out in the middle and give off your best performance? So, this is what I know. Every sport may have the same issue. We don't want to sound selfish, but cricket is a very unique sport where you need to prepare a particular area to get the guys to perform. And when you play and you play well, you see Kirani James, Grenada, we want to keep Grenada name on the international scene. We are behind the scenes. If Dwain and I were out front, Grenada would be mentioned all the time in West Indies cricket. But I'm all the way at the back. We need to keep people at the front, but it have to start from home, and it have to start with the facilities and the preparation of our sports men and women, so that when they go out there, they have the best chance to perform. And I want Teddy, you're selected now into the West Indies team. You should remain in the West Indies team until you're ready to retire. What reason you have to be dropped? You are here. But it's important. Sometimes when you come, you don't have such a good start because you're now feeling your way around and getting accustomed to the environment. You see 28 big cameras zooming down on you, the nerves start coming. You walk past Pat Cummins in the elevator and you're saying, oh boy, the big call, so everything is kind of not the same as what you're accustomed to, rightfully so, but it is a way of, switching pretty quickly, and those who can do it. I mean, Shema don't care about any of these things. He take the ball and he wants to bowl fast and bowl the fastest he can, so we need to really do a lot about our facilities and ensure that we have place to prepare our sportsmen and women properly, to be honest.
Roland, isn't it interesting that Shamar, who just a few months ago was a security guard?
It's interesting, but everybody don't. Some people may need a lot of time to really do what Shamar did. You see guys practicing day in, day out. Following the routines and and sometimes you go out there and you have very little success. But you have a guy. There is a guy, security guard, with his family in a rural community, and then he's on the scene like that. So it happens to some, but it may not happen to all. We are lucky in that instance that Sharma did what he did. But another youngster, may need more to get accustomed to the environment. So we just have to identify our people and make sure that we give them the necessary time and attention, so that when they get into West Indies cricket team, they can remain in West Indies. This should be the 15 in 2027. That should be our World Cup team. That's what Darren Sammy said. He's saying that you're on the train. He loves to use that term. You're on the train. There are many stops. Are you going to get off or are you going to remain on the train? You have to remain on the train. The train stop, It's not your stop. Stay with us.
Right. As we get ready to wrap up, and I have some two personal questions I want to throw at you guys. But Kellon said, Rawl, can we go ahead today and start celebrating a 2-1 ODI series victory against the Aussies from now? Our confidence is on a high now. Good luck to our boys, and we got to continue to rally hard as usual.
Kellon, I could tell you, 50 over cricket for a while, I didn't think that we figured out the formula. We were not winning 50 over matches, as you know. So give us a little time. It's not a guarantee, but we believe that we can win that series. We believe we can win the white ball series. Listening to the conversations in the dressing room after the match, guys are playing here, some of them for the first time. So it's going to be the same like the test team, I believe, I say to Darren. Because when you play in a new environment, now you understand after you've had a taste of it. So come this second game, it will be a different game. So you can start by celebrating, Kellon. You can start slowly and build up.
All right. And Toro says, Rawl has hit the nail on the head. It's not the talent, as I said before. It's having the players not being intimidated by facilities and their opponents when they get on the big international stage.
Well, Michael, if I just share something. When I walked out on the field in 1998, I think it was, in Pakistan, I tell you what, I'm walking on the field and I'm not feeling the grass because there were like 35,000 people in the stadium, which I've never seen. And I've never seen a lights before. And Wazim Akram had the ball in his hand. I almost wanted to turn back. So that feeling, you're not going to perform, for sure. And your entire country, you've selected for West Indies, you've gotten the cap, you've gotten the blazer, but somehow you just feel, maybe someone will give you an aircraft to fly somewhere, which you've never trained for. So, we don't want our players to feel out of sorts when they come to this environment. So that's all I'm saying. The preparation period leading up to getting the maroon cap, that's what we have to monitor. That's what we have to, and we need help in monitoring this. We can do our part when it comes to us, but we need help from government. We need help with facilities. We need help, with people to help mentor youngsters and so on in the villages and wherever they're from.
Yeah. My question now, my parting questions to you folks, and I'll have it in various parts. But to Dwain, and I asked you that because I've spoken to you before. I've tried to get information from you on certain things. You're a bit conservative on that. But it has to do with, we hear a lot about our players and what they receive and compensation and all these sort of things. And I recall some years ago, it was a situation where you had to make a decision about no pay leave. And it's something I know we have talked about in terms of players, whether it's footballers and other sporting, sportsmen and sportswomen. But when it comes to administrators, it seems to be a different sort of thing, where the sports administrators basically have to take no pay leave to represent the country, represent the region, and things like that. So, is it a situation where you are now in South Africa as team manager, that you have to be on no pay leave for your substantive job at home?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's happened in the past, and I right now I actually apply for no pay leave because of what has happened in the past. Because there was always a fight when you had to go to represent your country, whether it be Grenada, the region, Windward Islands, or West Indies. You had to make that decision as to not get your salary. Some people can manage, but I don't think it's everybody that might be able to do that. So for administrators coming in, it's not an incentive. It's like it's telling you to choose one or the other. I would choose maybe cricket. So that's the sacrifice that you make as an administrator to help your country, to help the region, to help the West Indies. But for others, not for me, but for others, I really wish it could be different. that someone can represent the region and still, feel that they don't have to give up anything.
Yeah, it's sort of sad because I know that back in 2016 we had all sort of things about the cricketers, but we didn't really hear anything much about, apart from being mentioned, about Dwain Gill and Rawl Lewis, things like that. Even though these guys are behind the scenes, but I still thought that something should have at least be made available to these guys, and not that you asking for anything per se, but it's fair enough that you're part of the process. You represented not just Grenada, you also represented the West Indies. Sort of sad. Um, so, Dwayne, you announce basically officially that you getting ready to give up the position as president of the GCA. And certainly,
Can I do it? Dwayne, you handed it to me.
If you're given,
but what I love about that, Dwayne, is that many times we have where administrators just believe that they could go on and on and on and on, but you believe that the time has come that you can get a successor. Hopefully, I hope you find someone with that sort of energy and drive and things like that. But what would you say in a few words, in summary, about your tenure as president of the GCA?
Well, it's started before I became president. I think this is about 20 years as an administrator, and this year will be 10 years as president. It was very challenging. I'm still happy to see that we've had during the period one or two more test players. We had Sherman Lewis coming through in that period, and we had a number of players playing for the West Indies at ODI level, women's West Indies teams, and of course, a lot of the A teams and the under 19 teams. We had someone like Emmanuel Stewart, captain in the West Indies under 19. So especially at the youth level, the number of players we've had coming through the system, it's always difficult coming from the windwards or the leewards. So I'm very, very happy about that. When I did some coaching in the past, we always took pictures. I always took pictures of myself and Emmanuel Stewart. And I did say at one time that I would want to throw in the towel when we get another test player. And in my mind at the time, it was supposed to be Emmanuel Stewart, but he's had some injuries, and I'm sure that he will be back. But when we see the young players coming through against all of the odds, Rawl spoke about the limitations of our players. They do quite a lot, and when you see them coming through, it really gives you a sense of satisfaction. When I came into cricket administration, there weren't many tournaments around in terms of the national level. Some guys had to. I remember coming back to Grenada and going to trials without playing in any tournament, and you had a couple of matches on impaired wickets, and that was used to pick the Grenada team. Today, at all of the levels, we do have, various tournaments, people coming in to make the various teams. And these players go on to represent Grenada and excel. They represent the windwards and excel. And ultimately, we want to get them to represent the West Indies. So it's going to be challenging. The major challenge is that, you need the support of the government. You need the support of the private sector. Sports administrators are not people that have a lot of money. At least I don't know of many. And there would always be that challenge of finance to get the things. People really believe that we sit down and say we don't want to play cricket. You want to play, but sometimes it's just too expensive. So I think we've made some strides in those areas. If we can get the facilities, as we mentioned before, up to standard, I think that we will see quite a lot more. We've sent teams to England over the last 2 years. I think only Antigua among the region was able to do that. So a lot of it, you don't hear much of it, but we've provided opportunities for players to excel at the regional and ultimately the international level.
And that England thing is really bearing some fruits with our players in terms of being identified, in terms of getting, sort of minor contracts as we'll see, and a little more exposure and things like that as well, Dwayne, right? Rawl, as manager of manager now as the West Indies team, but you still have that substantive position, in terms of cricket operations, back when you're not on tour, for example, you still have your duties to fulfill in Cricket West Indies. How do you sometimes make that transition after being away for, probably 2 months, 3 months on tour, and then having to get back to the office? And certainly being on tour is not a vacation, because it's probably more work than probably when you're in the office.
I wish it was a vacation. Sometimes you go to some places and you don't even get to go. Right now, I think I don't even know where the Sydney Harbour Bridge is. I mean, I'm sure some of the guys gone there. You check the Instagram, and I wonder when I check outside, I see the Sydney Harbour Bridge right there, but I don't even get time to go. So, no, when I go back to Antigua, I become a normal employee of Cricket West Indies. I go back to the cricket operations department, and we plan for the next tour. So that's the advantage that I have. I sit in the office and I can prepare everything from the office and then come on tour to execute it. So I don't like the feeling of, not being in control of what I do. So I think it would have been difficult for me to be somewhere else and, someone just providing me with information, and sometimes not in the format that you like it. So I feel it's a little bit more challenging for Dwain being outside of the office and, to receive instructions and information about a particular tour. Whereas I sit in the office and actually do the logistics and preparations for that tour and speak to the relevant persons connected to the tour. Let's say in this instance, Cricket Australia, we'd have many calls and many meetings before I actually come on the tour. So when I get here, I can execute what we plan from the office. So, it's a lot of work. You don't have much time for extracurricular activities, but, I do spend quality time with my family, and, I enjoy it so far. I think I'm pretty pleased with the way things are going.
Okay, so we just have 5 more minutes, but certainly just one while you think about something to wrap up, one for the road for you guys from Lincoln Toro saying, think I'll run for GCA president, spend a year, and then take charge of West Indies Cricket as president. We'll bring in Uncle Jack Warner as VP at West Indies Cricket. Uncle Jack Warner, the Caribbean's greatest sports administrator. Toro always giving us a little laughter, so certainly one for the road. But any things to wrap up with, guys?
Well, Michael, I just want to once again congratulate Rawl and the senior West Indies team, and wish them all the best in the one-day series. We have quite a lot of cricket coming up. We have apart from those international series, we have the regional tournament coming up in Grenada. We have the women's Windward's tournament coming up, which we should hear more about sometime next week, from February 10th to the 18th. And we have the T20 World Cup, that we are hosting in the Caribbean, and I'm sure that that in itself would have some interest, and we can get the youngsters into playing cricket. One of the features here at this Under-19 World Cup was that the number of school children coming into the grounds, and staying for almost the whole day, and very vocal, very vocal. They were fed, and I think that is the way to go. You see youngsters playing cricket. You want young people coming into the stadium watching the cricket as well. So all in all, I think it's going to be a very good year for West Indies cricket. And, we want to ensure that, we have the right people in place to carry out the job to improve West Indies cricket.
Yeah, and Dwayne, certainly before all, that point you made there about the youngsters, and I think is something that the North Americans have done successfully over the years, bringing the youngsters into whether it's baseball, whether it's NFL. these sort of sports. You expose them, even if it means that you have to give them free passes, because that will inspire them to want to play the game. They come in there and that's how they get to learn, especially baseball. I know is a sport where a lot of youngsters, and they will tell you, some of even the professional players will tell you that is how they started. As a fan, even Premier League football in the UK, when you see the cameras, a lot of these kids, and carrying on, saying, and then 10 years from now, they're in an academy and they want to play the football and they want, and things like that. So I think that is a good way to get them into the sport, by giving them that experience, giving them that exposure to be there. And I was glad to see that they were there, and the cameras were basically showing them at times that they were really into the game, because normally they'll be there and chatting and all over the place, but they were actually watching the game, which is good. Rawl?
Yeah, well, like Dwain, I want to congratulate you, Dwain, as I know you're the outgoing president, for all the work that you've done. I know it's a lot of work. A lot of people don't see what administrators do, but maybe when something I wouldn't say negative, but something happens that doesn't sit well with the public, you see all the comments coming out. But I think in the Caribbean sometimes it's better we pull from the positive and see how we can get that positive energy to flow, and more people talking about things that can actually develop. But you've done your work, you've done your part. I hope that the next person that's coming in your role, you pass on the files and just hope that things keep moving on from there. In my heart, I wish it was me, because I seriously, I want to see people from home grow in their respective areas. It doesn't have to be only cricket like that. There are other areas of sport that you can be part of, but you have to believe that, and we have to tell them. If we don't tell them, I don't think they would know that. So I look forward someday, Dwain, that we can, put our heads together and, have conversations with a group of persons. We are not politicians, but we can do something that in the villages that to help. And also to you, Mike, I think putting the spotlight on administrators in Grenada it's a good thing. Not every time, sometimes you want to get the sportsmen and women on the program, and highlighting administrators. Well done for doing that, because I think we need to get the message out there, and you've been doing a fantastic job from ever since I worked at GBN with you.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I know you're putting that part there. But thank you very much, Rawl and Dwain, certainly. And as I said, as we continue to celebrate and to observe our 50th anniversary of independence, I think it's important that we also look at our sporting icons who have been making that sort of contribution, and many times I would say the contributions go unnoticed, and I thought it was indicative and it's coincidental to an extent that you two folks are, currently on tour and representing not just Grenada, but representing the region at the highest level. And I want to congratulate you. I'm certainly, Rudy, and I sure you'll want to add your bit of congratulations to those guys as well.
Most definitely. Gail, what you have done for cricket, I know you say you are getting out, but you never get out.
No,
we never get out in the sport. We never, I'm still in it, not cricket, but in track and field, and I'm still in it. So there's never an out, but what you have done for cricket, not only for Grenada, but in the region, certainly, kudos to you. And, all the best to you in what other cricket adventure you're going to do, because I know you're not going to leave cricket and go into football or track and field, So whatever you do, and just continue doing. And Mr. Lewis, there is nothing that I could say to you that you haven't heard from the world, like congratulating you in terms of what the West Indies is doing. And I'm really, really excited to see this new era of West Indies cricket that's coming up. We definitely know it's a new time, new style, like I said, new bat, new gloves, new everything than what we're accustomed with in the 80s and 90s. And certainly you are in a place where you put yourself in a position to make that better. and to make the West Indies greater. And there is not a better person than a Grenadian to do that. And I truly want to say congratulations to you. Continue winning and continue. And if you do lose, there is learning that comes from that too. Even sometimes we lose and we think we lost. No, there is winning that comes from losing. Because you learn some things that you will do better for the next time. So just continue what you're doing, and thank you again for your awesome work.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And Michael, before I leave, I just want to, we are reading from afar what all the activities in Grenada. It's all positive. We want to keep it clean. So we have to encourage people to keep the celebration clean. Yes. I want to only read positive things about my country where I am. Okay, so if you're going to drink Black Scott, don't drink a bottle, Just
drink a glass.
Drink a glass. Yeah. But certainly we will want to also convey our happy anniversary
independence.
Dwain will be back in Grenada by then, so he will be enjoying independence. But for you, Rawl, who will still be in Down Under, certainly.
Well, I'll be home in February, Mike. I'm coming. Yeah.
Well, we in February. The end of February. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, and the plan is for the celebrations itself to be a year-long
continued
activity. So certainly, while you will not be there for the 7th per se, you will be home at some point in time. I'm hoping to be home at least within the next few weeks. But I want to thank you, gentlemen, for being on the program. And I by the comments, I know it was very interesting. And I know there are folks like Kellon and certainly Toro and others who, despite what they're saying, I know they'll be tuned on later to see the West Indies play. I know Dwain always laughing because he follow his boy Toro and his comments. And certainly Mr. Jeremiah is saying congrats to you all, fellow Grenadians. And I think it's a proud moment. And that's what I'm trying to say. It's a proud moment for Grenada, whatever it is, that we have two. And I say that, Dwain, because I think back then, a lot of people were more celebrating the successes of the West Indies teams at the time when we had Fletcher and then we had the youngsters, Emmanuel Stewart and others and things like that. So, and they were more celebrating the players. And I think you folks, both Rawl and Dwain, were basically in the background, and things like that. But this time around, I really wanted to portray you guys because since then, that's almost 10 years ago, and you're still there. And you, even between that time, you have been, Rawl continuing and Dwain has been continuing, whether it's the A team and, under 19 teams, whatever, as team managers. But we don't hear, much about that. So personally, I want to convey that congratulations to you guys.
Mike, let me tell you one thing. A guy walked up to me in Grenville and he was wondering which league I'm playing in.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He thought I was still playing cricket.
Yeah, I think, But and something I thought was very good, Rawl, is that when the team was in Grenada in December, bringing the players and the coach and the coach in particular, I thought the video with Sammy and others in Union. That was Union, right? Right?
Of course.
Yes, I thought that to me was good, and I think we need to see more of that. And Dwain, as you were saying, in terms of the youngsters being encouraged, coming out, these sort of things, I think that will just inspire those folks, because for them, that will be memories that they will cherish for a long time.
Mike, we did not have enough food or drinks for people that came. And when I saw that, all it brought to me is the power of sport.
Mm-hmm. Oh, how it brought the people together. Yeah.
Brought all the villages, everyone came to Union to see these guys.
Yeah.
So, that's for another time.
Yeah. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and all the best.
Thank you,
I appreciate
it.
I know.
Happy Independence again.
Early morning to Rawl in Australia and late evening to Dwain in South Africa. Right? Thank you very much, Dwain.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay then. Certainly, Rudian, it has really been pleasure with these gentlemen.
Oh,
We learned,
definitely,
yeah, quite a bit.
definitely. Yeah,
We learned
yeah,
quite a lot, and I thought
yeah,
it was encouraging that in terms of sports administrators, because that's the problem we do have most times, not being able to feature those folks and what they have been doing, what they have been, especially in the background. And we spend a lot of time on the sportsmen and sportswomen. Well, so be it, and we know they're doing quite a bit. But
yeah,
sometimes, I think most times, is the criticism of the sports administrators. That is what get the um
yeah,
the attention, as we'll say,
yeah.
because
No,
if the
definitely.
team does
Yeah.
bad, they don't go at the players, they go at the administrators, the coaches, the managers,
Administration.
the
And there's a lot.
selectors.
And
Mhm.
certainly there's a lot behind the scenes that not
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
before. Like I said, there's a lot now. Like I said, these guys need to get a debit card. They need to have this. They need to have visa. It's a lot that we don't
but
think about, even though we know about it, but we don't really think about it. We're only looking at the front part of it, of going and play and
yeah,
winning. There's a lot behind the scenes that these guys is doing. Rawl don't sleep sometimes. He don't. He can't sleep. Yeah. So because it's always got to be
and
on
then
the tablet or on his phone. Yeah.
yeah, and then when I looked at it too, as I was saying, when you look at, yes, Rawl, but then I'm sorry for Dwayne to an extent, because I
Yeah.
mean you dealing basically with kids, to an extent, so it's more challenging because
More
there's a level
challenging.
of
Yeah.
maturity from the
The
senior
adults.
players.
Yeah.
Many of
Yeah.
them would
Yeah.
have been on tours. They're playing in CPL, they're playing in IPL, they're playing in various leagues. They're more experienced. But for the under 19, for some, though, it may be their very first
First time.
international tour. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They may have gone to other parts of the region, blah, 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 and things like that. But in terms of that, so it's certainly a challenge in
Yeah.
keeping those, and they're young boys,
Yeah. New
and
environment,
I
new
mean,
everything.
yeah,
So
a
it's
lot of
like
things. It's like
it's
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 like
a
being a
lot new. Yeah.
manager, being
Lifestyle.
a
Yeah.
mentor, being a father, being everything for those, and certainly you will have to be in contact with their parents, and you have a
No,
lot of
definitely.
responsibility.
It's a lot, and there's a safety aspect about it too. Like they cannot just pick up and go where they want to go. Just go out for a walk or go out and do this. There's a lot to it, that goes with it. So it's really challenging for on the under 19 team and even younger, and even the women team too. It's always challenging, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and
So,
that's why,
but it was good.
I'm saying, and that's why I was saying, I wonder how it is that the team management will deal with the players,
With the
knowing the
players, yeah.
circumstances in which they had to bow out of the tournament. It was a game where, okay, yes, they had to win, but the circumstances, they had no basically, well, control over the weather and things like that. Even though they were saying that the rules probably need to change. And I was reading the comments. If you read, for folks, if you go back and you read the comments, you'll realize that most of the fans, they were, while they were disappointed, not so much in the result, in the circumstances, they are very
Hmm.
supportive of the team. And they were saying, hey, listen, despite that, these are the guys for the future, right? These are the guys
Yeah,
for the future.
yeah.
And all
The
they want
guys for the future.
is for
Yeah.
them to keep them together as a team. And it's now a challenge now to how you can ensure that these guys are not really, really
I'm not.
disappointed.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they turn away from the sport, but
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
keep their
Definitely.
heads high
That's why
because
you gotta keep the heads
despite
up. You gotta keep the head up. Yeah.
yeah, despite
Yeah.
losing their first match, they were able to bounce back and they were really on
Bounce back
course
on it, really.
to
Yeah.
to do. Yeah. So thank you once again, folks.
Always a pleasure.
Certainly, Rudian, it's a pleasure as well. And
It's
we hope to be,
always.
well, just to let you know, Rudian, it's the Super Bowl weekend next weekend.
Yes,
I
it
can tell
is.
you I'll be in Las Vegas. In terms of the Saturday, I still have to let you know about this show because I
Yes,
have
yeah,
to go and
definitely.
I have to let you
Yeah,
know
and I,
about
and I may have a
yeah.
track meet to go to for
Well,
some of my
that's yeah,
athletes
yeah.
this weekend.
So
I may
yeah,
not go this Saturday, but certainly this Sunday.
yeah.
They're messing me up to go and prepare my chicken wings for my Super Bowl.
For your Super Bowl. Yeah,
They jumping at 4 o'clock, and it's like, you kidding me? Like, man,
yeah,
and in the past years they've been snow, but we are lucky in this part of the world right now because the sun is out. People could wear a sweater outside. To tell you the truth,
yeah.
now, that's how nice it is. So it'll be a fun time. But good luck out there. It's gonna be quite exciting in Vegas. Certainly a lot of work for you guys to do. Lots of work. It's not a party out there. You know. Yeah.
I don't know.
Iceland.
It's a tough question. I can't say.
I am. Both of my teams are gone. Like I said, I'm a diehard Cowboys, and my second team is the Baltimore Ravens. Certainly, but I believe the Kansas City Chiefs is going to win. In my opinion, based on how they're playing, coming up from the road, playing all the road games. San Francisco is not looking as a Super Bowl team to me. That's what I prefer. I really wanted Detroit to make it in, but
I hope you folks are not
yeah.
getting into the Swifty thing,
No. I'm not into this, man. You watch no. You watch how it is, and you watch the play, you watch the quarterback, and all these things of them. They're fun. They've been there before. It's been a while since San Francisco been there. It's been a minute, So they guys been there already. The composure is different. Um, Certainly it will be good. It'll be a good show. I'm looking forward to see all those commercials that we'll never see again. That will come out one time,
at the halftime show.
and the halftime show. See who Usher is going to bring out with him, and those type things in there. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, the tour is going for the San Francisco 49ers. He says he's backing his Trini cousin.
Trini cousin. Yeah.
But certainly
It's good. It's good. It's gonna be a good one. Yeah.
the Chiefs will have the certainly they have the edge. They'll have the
They have the edge. Yeah, they have the edge.
as well.
Yeah.
All right then. So thank you very much, Rudian.
Gentlemen, and certainly to you and the listeners, it is a pleasure. And if it's not next week, the week after,
Okay then.
certainly will be on. Yeah. All right.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you. And folks, I want to thank you, Edwin. I want to also on behalf of my daughter to thank you for supporting her worthy cause. In case I had a link on my Facebook page regarding she's a teacher and she works with some autistic kids and looking for some donations. So if you can just check the link on my Facebook page, whether it's toys, whatever educational things for some autistic kids. She teaches those kids in the Bronx, and she is looking for some assistance for those kids because they're looking for support from the community. Normally, they don't really get that sort of assistance from the city or the state, so they look for assistance from the community. And I want to thank all you folks who provided some assistance, and thanks from Hazel and Edwin and others who personally made a contribution. You go on the link and you can make a purchase for those kids. It goes directly into the cart and it's shipped to their school in the Bronx. Thank you very much, Hazel. Thank you, Edwin, and thank you to all those who have supported that worthy cause. Thank you again very much. And Rawl, Lewis, Dwain Gill, and all the folks who have made the program possible. Toro and Kellon and Clev and Brother Dominic Jeremiah. Certainly, we're looking forward to your support. Well, by the way, as I said, Dominic Jeremiah, I know he's not directly involved, but somehow we'll have to talk a little call in the coming weeks. But we'll talk more about that because for now, I know the focus is on independence, right? But certainly after that, we have Intercall and we also have Carefta Games, etc., etc. Thank you very much, folks. It has been a pleasure. I really enjoyed the program today, and I'm looking forward to your company in a next program, subsequent program. It could be this Saturday or next Saturday. I will let you know during the week because I have Super Bowl duties. Like last year, it was in Phoenix. This time around, I'll be in Vegas for Super Bowl duties. Until then, do have a pleasant and a very enjoyable Independence weekend.